Alright, it is currently almost 2 a.m. where I'm at, and I'm going to make a video about the Dad Batch. Specifically, we are talking Crosshair's Redemption, because this is one of the ones that is actually well done, and I don't mean in Star Wars, I mean in current modern media. So basically, I'm gonna go fanboy over Dave Filoni actually writing good characters again. So, for everyone who isn't at least mostly caught up or has forgotten a few things, in season 1 of The Dad Batch, we had Crosshair end up leaving the rest of the batch, functionally choosing to stay with the Empire as opposed to going rogue. This resulted in a team split and a situation where it seemed as if Crosshair cannot rejoin. And yet, because it's called the Bad Batch, we all knew it was going to happen sooner or later. So, how does it actually happen? Well, you see, at one point, Crosshair goes rogue and shoots his commanding officer. Functionally, he got extremely mad that one of the regs, one of the normal clones, was treated as less than new equipment, and that pissed him off to an unholy degree, to where he shot the lieutenant who dismissed the fellow clone. This resulted in him getting sent to an experimental facility in an attempt to likely brainwash him. Again. Now, eventually, this same facility got a hold of Omega, another clone of Jango Fett who was a girl this time for reasons? But, anyways, Omega, stuck in the facility, finds out that Crosshair is also stuck in the facility. And Omega has been trying to escape the entire time, or at least find a way to escape. And now that Crosshair's there, having been on the team and having spent all of season 1 bonding with the guy, whether he wanted to or not, she's unwilling to leave him. Crosshair, on the other hand, has fully internalized that he has made a poor decision in staying with the Empire, and is basically just sitting around waiting to die. So when Omega makes her escape attempt, Crosshair attempts to get her to leave him there, which doesn't work because Omega is objectively too trusting. It just is. It's one of her character traits. She's a kid. It makes sense in story. So, anyways, when Omega makes her escape attempt, she goes and tries to rescue Crosshair, which only kind of works because partially he's trying very hard to not be rescued, and partially because she is a kid and she only has access to the place because she's friends with one of the scientists. Again, makes sense in story. But it means Omega's not terribly useful against the absolute horde of clone troopers being sent after her. Or maybe some of them are. I don't know if some of them are stormtroopers at this point, but there are definitely clone commandos, and she can do nothing to those guys. So Crosshair ends up escaping with her, and at one point has a very fun quote. At one point, Crosshair is making, like, triple checking that she's okay, ready to go on a mission, and she tells him, "You're as bad as Hunter," and his response is, "Oh, I'm much worse." Which is very funny on multiple levels, not the least of which being he was the one that stayed with the Empire, and now he's being more overprotective than Hunter. It's great. Now, at this point, functionally, the entire Dad Batch treats Omega in this same exact way. All of them are just extremely overprotective. You dare touch Omega, the entire batch is coming after you, and you will likely die. It's just not going to end well for you. So don't touch Omega. So with all that out of the way, why is this good character development and other things you see around are less than optimal? Well, it all has to do with setup and payoff. See, there's never any one way to write a story correctly. Heavy air quotes. But there are many ways to do it wildly incorrectly. And what works well here is that even in season 1, as much as Crosshair is grumpy and doesn't play well with others, he's still generally trying to do the right thing. Even when he doesn't go with the rest of the batch and leave the Empire, which we, as the audience, knowing what the Empire turns into, very much cannot support. It is done on the premise of the Empire is good for the galaxy. And that's a very easy sell to your audience, because Crosshair's always been Hunter's Lancer, which is a narrative foil thing. And one of his primary character traits is challenging Hunter's authority. So when Hunter makes a decision that changes the entire life of the batch, it's only natural for Crosshair to say, yeah, I think you might be wrong. And this goes so far that he'll actually go around and sort of hunt them down. Not actively try to kill them, but, you know, he's been given orders, he's trying to take them, and he is trying to take them alive, but, they're still his targets. So when you have a character like that, that has been with Team Good Guy, and has abandoned them for Team Bad Guy, and you want them to go back to Team Good Guy, how do you handle that? Well, you have to give a reason, and this is where most people falter. Because a lot of times when you're writing, you're like, oh, you just want it to be some heartfelt speech, or just they realize on their own, or something or other, and then the character changes their mind, they change their heart, and they're back on Team Good Guy. And it's not to say that that doesn't happen IRL, but in a story that isn't terribly convincing. And you have to convince your audience that this person is ready to be back on the side of Team Good Guy. So for Crosshair, he isn't trying to join the Bad Batch when he gets on the Empire's bad side. He's not doing it because of some selfless reason or anything. He's very selfishly very pissed off that one of the only people he's bonded with since losing the Batch, which is one of these clone commanders who's lost his troops, is just treated callously by this Imperial lieutenant to the point that Crosshair just can't take it anymore and shoots the guy. And for the record, the officer did deserve it. This interaction has nothing to do with the rest of the batch. It doesn't have to do with an attempt to improve his character at all. In fact, it's arguably sinking even worse into self-destruction by rashly going off against the only authority he knows that he is currently surrounded by and that will absolutely kill him. Or take him prisoner, send him to a brainwashing camp to brainwash him and figure out how his head works and why his mutations are better. Crosshair has some very fun days in the meantime. And then when you get over to the jailbreak, Crosshair isn't even attempting to jailbreak himself. He's perfectly willing to just sit there and either be erased or die. But he cannot bring himself to let that happen to Omega. And that's how the redemption arc kicks off. Which is wonderful writing, by the way, because he's not trying to be redeemed. He's not going around trying to say, oh, I realize I've done all this wrong and I'm going to make it up to my brothers and we're going to reunite and it's going to work out. No, he's literally exclusively doing this on the grounds of, now I gotta save this kid. You had to do this, now you're in danger, now I gotta save you. Which is such a great instinct, it's something everyone can understand, and it makes him a very sympathetic character, and aligns with what his previous decisions have been. He hasn't done things on the grounds of, the Empire is amazing, it is, I believe the Empire is best for the galaxy. And when he stops believing that, what does he do? Shoots his officer immediately. What does he think's best for the galaxy? Saving Omega. Or, well, okay, not the galaxy, but you get the point. Crosshair's logic may not make sense to Hunter, but it is undoubtedly the logic of trying to do the right thing. And when presented with the opportunity to do nothing or do the right thing, he chooses to do the right thing. And his character, for that particular little statement, trying to do the right thing, does not move an inch. He doesn't suddenly gain a moral compass anywhere in this. He has a moral compass. The only thing that occurs is it gets straightened out of it. And frankly, I'm very happy that that's how that works out, because it is such wonderful writing. Thank you, Dave Filoni, for actually knowing how to write a story, unlike so many of these other writers. Anyways, that's it for my 2 a.m. unhinged rant. Y'all have a good night.